Hey everybody, this is Andrew Greer. CCM Magazine here, features on film, and we are featuring Jordan Feliz.
Hey.
Thanks for being here. Hey. So for people who don't know your story, because I think it is interesting and I think it ties into the whole trust factor, which is an ongoing thing in our spiritual lives.
Yes.
But you and your wife, before kids,
Yes.
right? You have one girl.
We do.
And her name is?
Jolie.
And then you're expecting?
A little boy.
In?
August.
All right,
Yes.
so it's about to be 2. But before, take us back.
Yes.
And you're from California.
Yes.
And you guys came to Tennessee pretty much like on a penny and a prayer, right?
Literally. Yes, literally on a penny and a prayer. Yeah, we kind of came just on literally feeling like the Lord was calling us to Nashville. And we prayed about it for a year and felt like the Lord confirmed it, and we left. And I had basically plotted all these shows because we couldn't afford the move. So I had booked all these shows to, pay for everything, and then they all canceled like 2 weeks before we were going to leave. And it was this whole thing of like, okay, is this like the Lord being like, hey, you've actually misheard this whole thing this whole time? But we continued to pray, and we felt like he was still saying, no, I want you to go, but I just want you to trust me. And we ended up making it, and we ended up making money too, which was crazy because my way of booking across the country basically just covered our costs. And when we did it his way, we ended up making enough money to like get by the first couple months. And it was just kind of the lesson of learning just that, like, if we can just really trust God with what we have, he's gonna do abundance, and way more than what in our own strength we could achieve,
People look at, I think people probably look at where you are now, even though this is only a few years later.
Yeah.
And only, a year or two after your first record, and think kind of in overnight success terms because they're going and they're part of a large audience or whatever.
Yeah.
This was not an overnight success.
No.
Do you want to dispel that real quick on camera?
Yeah, I've been touring since I was 17. I was in a metal band for almost 5 years.
Really?
Yep. And toured the country, and then came to Nashville on this calling. I valeted for almost a little over 2 years downtown, and then I took a job as an Uber driver for a year. And then I finally signed a record deal, and several years of a lot of work, and here I am, 2 years later, and it's been insane
to have that full experience. Here you are 2 years later on the verge of a sophomore record. Is there, when you think about, okay, so you have radio success, you have sales success, you had tour successes all off that first record.
Yeah.
When you get into thinking about, take it back a few months or several months or a year ago, you're thinking about, okay, the next record, the label's thinking about, was there fear involved in that?
Yes. Crippling fear. Whenever I started writing for this new record, the first 4 months were actually just filled with severe anxiety, and I had never had a panic attack in my life, but I just started having panic attacks every week.
Just while you were on the road?
Yeah, while I'm on the road, just freaking out in the back lounge of the bus, and just not feeling like myself too, because I'm super not that personality, and so it was just a really strange season because it was why am I feeling this way? And it really just came down to the fact that when writing for the first record, there was really no expectation of me. It was just write the best songs possible and pray people enjoy them and pray that the Lord will use them, And somehow I had tricked my mind into that's not how to go into the second record. The second record was no, you have to hold the weight of this, and you have to perform, and if you don't, then everybody hates you. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't until probably about 7 months after writing, I ended up going to my producer Colby's house, and I was sitting down with a co-writer, Paul Duncan, and he just looked at me and he was like, I had finished explaining to him kind of my mindset at the time and how I was just not myself, you know, and he was just like, dude, he quoted the backside of Ephesians 1:18, and he just said, man, like our future, you have to remember that our future is found in the inheritance of God. That is where our future lies. And dude, I don't know why it just crushed me, because it made me realize like everything, all the things that I had learned on my move from California to Nashville, this big trust thing of just like relying on Jesus to provide and relying on him, because he's not just our financial provider. He's not just our, you know, provider for food or water. I mean, he's our provider for everything, and even like songs, you know. I mean, that is where, you know, we ask and he's going to give them to us. And I kind of just broke down, and that day we ended up writing Witness, which is the first single off the record. And you know, after several hours of talking, I just kind of got fired up with that enthusiasm again, you know, of just like, oh my gosh, man, like how have I been so like just fooled by the enemy the last several months of just believing this, you know? It's really what kind of got me through it, was just remembering, you know? It's almost like, you know, that phase of life where you almost have to remind yourself what your past looked like to move forward.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Just to remember what God has done. And that's kind of the thing of what the entire like undertone of this record is just the fact that like we don't have to worry, we don't have to live in fear, we don't have to live in anxiety or stress, like, because we have a God who asks us to give those things to him. And if we choose to, we find out what real freedom in life looks like.
Well, you see that in our history of faith. Think of the ancestors of faith and in journeys with God, even all the way back to biblical times, right? That there are markers that help us remind where we've come from.
Yeah.
It reminds us where we're going to and the context of it, right?
Yes, yes.
It seems like in some way your trip from California to Nashville was one of those.
Yes.
And maybe this new record is another.
It's another one,
you know, one of those.
100%.
Because I have a friend who said that God has given us a will that is greater than our emotions. So when you think about like this panic anxiety, which I think is a very relatable topic, we live in a culture that is driven a lot by fear, and that's very, I'd say maybe more than ever, at least that I can see, that's living on the surface. It's very palpable.
Yep.
So, you know, and you, like, this is the first time you experience these moments of panic, right? That level of anxiety.
Yep.
So were there some practical like steps that you took? Because I think everyone's always interested in, okay, I do want to zoom out and see the bigger picture, but I also want to actually live out of the bigger picture.
Yes.
You know, to journey through fear into freedom. Do you feel like there was, not that you have it all solved, but were there some steps you took that you were like, this is helpful in trusting that bigger picture?
Yes. Community. When you surround yourself with people that, for me, like one of my biggest things was just having people around me to remind me that. You know what I mean? When you don't have people that are able to speak into your life, I call it just going off the deep end. You know what I mean? Like you're like your mind is going off the deep end, and you're like, I'm about to literally lose it right now. And when you don't have people in your life, whether it's somebody that you can call or somebody you're on a tour bus with 200 days out of the year, you know, when you don't have those people in your life that can remind you of like where the Lord should be placed in your life and in your mindset, I think that's where, you know, things can kind of fall apart pretty fast. But when you do have those people, I mean, essentially it's just them being a conduit of like the Lord in that moment, because, you know, the Lord is using them in your life for encouragement and for him, you know. And it's a huge thing to have those people in your life that can keep you strong and to keep your head on, you know, screwed on tight, you know.
Yeah, and to give a face to it, right?
Yes.
I'm not sure that God is completely tangible in a lot of ways. I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
experience him in different ways, but people
Yes.
are a tangible expression of God's.
Totally.
Have you found, I mean, is God trustworthy?
Yes, 100% to me. I think my life is proof that he is, you know. And I feel like anybody that's struggling with the fact that they don't know if he is, call me, man. I'll show you 100,000 reasons of why he is. And that's the hardest thing though, is I think the hardest thing for us to get over is, I mean, we could have conversations about how he's not too. But the thing is it's not, and I'm saying that from somebody else's perspective,
Sure.
But I'm just saying, I can prove to you that he is, but it might not sound like the answer that you actually want. And that's the problem with today and with like our, like who we are as humans, is the fact that we see this single plane, and we're very like just, I don't know, we want this quick fix all the time. I'm just like, man, but that's not how the kingdom of God works. Like, it's never been that way. Like, not one time have I ever grown spiritually or seen God move immediately in the moment that I need him to. You know, there have been moments where, yes, I can count on maybe one hand in which I can say that was a miracle and God like literally just was like, yes, here you go. But 99% of the time, it doesn't look like the way that, like, I would have never moved to Nashville. You know what I mean? If I didn't feel like, okay, all right, Lord, this is scary. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of the way it always looks. You know, that's how this record looked for, 7 months. It was just terrifying.
Yeah.
It was like, but then, I feel like I got given songs that I would have never been able to write on my own, so.
It's as if our perspective, is one-dimensional, and we're seeking God's perspective, but it's full-dimensional. It's three-dimensional, same as 100%. Like maybe the songwriting process for this record felt kind of like, here it is, but it's just living on the surface, and until life was breathed into it, that's what it became.
100%.
Okay, so we talk about this record, Future, being like kind of this result of your journeying through a season. Yeah. So do you think that like, will doubt never re-enter the picture? Is it smooth sailing from here?
Oh, no, I actually was just
You need another record after.
I was just talking about this today actually, how it seems like very, like it's almost like been my prayer over the last couple months that I don't do this again, that it is smooth sailing. But it feels like this is a trend that happens every 2 to 3 years in my life, of like me just not trusting and me feeling like, because I'm just such a planner, man. Like I love like having my hands in everything, and I'm creative, so I'm also like wanting to be like, well, if I just could do this, then I would be able to achieve this next thing. And like I love like fixing and scheming to like grow and to get these, like it's like a puzzle. But the problem is like we're not the one putting the puzzle together. Right. But yet we can like continue to like shove these puzzle pieces in the wrong spot, and the Lord is just gonna go, no.
Like it fits.
No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? It's just like but that's like the consistency of life. You know what I mean? And humanity. And humanity. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like, but I feel like I learned that lesson, and it keeps happening through my life, whether it's through, middle school and high school, and through, marriage, and through our move to Nashville, and through my career, but I think that's just like, that's what salvation is. It's a process, and trusting in God is a process too, like I don't know one person that is able to just abandon all things and say, yes, Lord, just take it. I don't know one person with that kind of faith, you know what I mean? And I think if we saw that, we'd see people moving mountains, splitting the sea open, you know what I mean? But that's just, that's what our relationship with God is a constant growth. And I don't think he would want it any other way, you know what I mean? Because I think obviously he wants us to experience what real faith looks like, but I also think he loves the fact that we're constantly growing, and the more we grow, the more we hunger for him and for our time with him and for staying in God's word. And I think that's a really healthy state to be in, It's a constant discovery. Yeah, just growing. I was blinded, you gave me eyes to see. I was going under, you reached out to me. No, there's nothing you won't do to pick me up and pull me through. Every hour, 8 days a week, yeah. Your love is like a fountain, it'll never run dry, it'll never run dry. Your love is moving mountains every day of my life, every day of my life. Can I get a witness? Hallelujah, hallelujah. We want glory, we can't measure up, and we try money, but don't get enough. We fill our sky with fading lights, trying to guide us through the night, but you're the one thing that'll carry us, because your love is like a fountain, it'll never run dry, it'll never run dry. Your love is moving mountains every day of my life, every day of my life. Can I get a witness? Hallelujah, hallelujah, oh yeah. Hey. There's so much love, so much grace, come on now. There's somebody in this place, come on now. So much love, so much grace, come on now. Somebody in this place, come on now. Ooh, your love is like a fountain, it'll never run dry, it'll never run dry. Your love is moving mountains every day of my life, every day of my life. Can I get a witness? Hallelujah, hallelujah. Can I get a witness? Oh, can I get a witness? Can I get a witness?